what's up, everybody? Welcome to the TNR Sports Show, the Friday edition. The Friday edition. Ryan is here.
Hello.
This is the TNR Sports Show, not the TNR podcast, not the TNR minute, not the TNR segment.
Definitely not a minute.
No, God, no, not these college ones. This is the TNR Sports Show, the sports show to end all sports shows. And that's where we're at.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. How about that, huh? All right. We're gonna be back. We're back, baby. We came out with a video on Wednesday. I'll clip it here, and then we came out with a video on Thursday. I'll clip it here. I'm excited about both of those. I'll give it 10 seconds and the NFL video will pop up. Please check those videos out if you haven't already. We're going to be coming out with videos 4 days a week. 4 days a week. That's freaking crazy. I'm a crazy man. We were, there was a time where we were just doing videos 1 day a week, Friday, and that was it. Those days are over. We have now moved to 4 days a week during the NFL season, and to be determined with anything else. I don't know where that's going to go, but we'll get there when we get there. But I am excited regardless of what we've got going on. We're back to college basketball. How exciting is that?
Oh, it's exciting. Conference play started in college basketball.
Yeah, we're off to a rough start so far. Yeah, this is gonna be a tough. Show. Arkansas was so good last year, and they're like stink. But first, before we get started, we're going to talk basketball at the top, college football at the end. As I said on Wednesday's episode, at the very end, check that out. I said kind of what we're going to be doing. So we're going to do college basketball right off the rip, and then we're going to open up with college football in the second half of the show. So if you like your college football, skipped about the midway point, I'll put a timestamp in there. That's kind of what I'm thinking so far. But that's kind of how it's going to go. Also, look out for another treat I'm thinking about doing. It's super easy for me, so I wouldn't have to do a whole lot of work. But be looking out for that coming on the channel as well. But regardless, I think that covers all the grounds. Let's talk some college b-ball. I can't believe we're so back. We're so back to where we started. This is where we started, people.
Where we started.
People care about college basketball. Now, unlike last year, where we covered every single game ever, I'm not doing that this time. That's stupid. So what we're going to do is we're coming to cover the 4 teams that we primarily cover on this podcast. So you're going to have Arkansas, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and Clemson. You'll always get those teams covered, no matter what. Even if Arkansas goes on a 40-game losing streak, you'll get them covered. The next part of that is you're going to get the big games. So we're recording this on a Wednesday. You're probably sitting here on a Friday being like, why didn't he talk about Arkansas winning or losing? Basically, we're going to be done recording that podcast before that game even starts. I might add something on. I might do that. At the very end of the episode, check it out. I might throw a little segment in there because I'm not doing the editing to this until Thursday. So I might come home tomorrow and do like a little extra video to put on into the episode, just so you get that coverage. And we'll do that. So look out for the Arkansas. If you want the Arkansas basketball stuff, we'll do a pause at the end of the basketball segment and it'll be there. So you'll get everything now. I was wrong. I was wrong. I was terribly wrong. But yeah, you'll get everything now. So that's good. But right now we're going to cover just the previous games that happened yesterday. Here's my opinion on college basketball. I don't really get into college basketball until college football is over and done with. And I mean over and done with. And it's over and done with. Georgia won the national championship. Great football game. Many people liked it. Many people did not. Many people have told me it was the greatest game of all time. I don't know about that. But
you're a Georgia fan, it is.
Yeah, I guess so. But I'm excited for college basketball season. Even though Arkansas sucks, actually most of our teams suck. I think Oklahoma might be good. I'm not sure. Clemson sucks, South Carolina sucks, and Arkansas sucks. So, yeah. But we're gonna go through the games that we have here that happened, I believe, on 12/11. So, like I said, I don't care about it until it's over, and it was over yesterday, 12/11. I mean, oh my God, 1/11. Sorry. So it was over on 1/11/22 Tuesday. So we cover the games. So that's how I roll. So from now on, you'll get the coverage from here on out with the basketball game. So that'll be fun. All right, let's start with the South Carolina Gamecocks. Oh my God. Versus the Tennessee Volunteers. Tennessee won the game 66-46. Reese for South Carolina, who's by far their best player, had 15, and John Fulkerson had 28 for Tennessee. We both watched the highlights. We didn't get to catch. Well, Ryan, you actually watched some of this game.
Yep.
When from the highlights, I watched about it. I usually try to find like a good 12-minute highlight video, good 10-minute, just so I can see majority, but not too much, but majority of what happened. Tennessee seems to like go on a little stretch here, like kind of, I believe, into the first half, kind of going in the second half, but they just kind of put it to South Carolina. They don't have the dogs to stick with them.
Yeah, I mean, the game started out somewhat close. I mean, Tennessee
pretty competitive for a while there.
Yeah. Tennessee had the lead for, I think, pretty much the entire game, if not the entire game. But at the very beginning there, South Carolina was competitive. They were within striking range, but Tennessee is not a bad basketball team by any means.
By any means. It's shocking that Tennessee and South Carolina have the same record. I have to go back and look at who they both played, but Tennessee must have played some hard-fought teams because South Carolina looked nothing comparable to what Tennessee. Now, I get it was at Tennessee, but man, they had some dogs on that team, man. They had some real good basketball players.
Yeah.
So I think, is Tennessee going to be competitive in the SEC? Hard for me to tell because I don't know, because I started watching one day ago.
But it's hard. Tennessee's always kind of one of those teams that's there, but as of recently, at least, haven't been like the guys in the SEC. You know,
right. Of course.
I mean, it's been Kentucky, obviously, but
Yeah, for the past 2 years, I would say, you had Kentucky being the dominant the Kentucky falling off. I would say this year, Kentucky's not as good as they have been. I have watched that a little bit. When I was in the gym the other night, Kentucky was playing LSU. So I saw Kentucky kind of sucking. But, I just don't think they're as good as they were at that point, but as they used to be. The SEC is better when Kentucky's better because Kentucky's good. They'll say, oh, man, the SEC is so good, no matter if the SEC sucks nuts or not. So, last year, I honestly believe last year was one of the most competitive years for the SEC. You had a very good Alabama team. LSU was very good. Tennessee was dominant. Arkansas. I would say those kind of were the big four. Auburn was good. Kentucky was having a down year. And people probably didn't think it was a good year for the SEC, mainly because of the fact that, Kentucky wasn't there, and doing what they. I mean, Arkansas made it a friggin' Elite Eight last year. They ain't doing that this year. They suck. But last year, unrelated, unmentioned fact about SEC basketball, because I'm SEC homer. Texas A&M, all of a sudden, is good at basketball. They've been in the SEC now. I don't know how many years, since 12, I believe, 10 years. They've sucked at basketball every single year, and they had the same record, I believe, as Tennessee. Shocking, to say the least. Shocking. But we got on a little SEC tangent, but this was about South Carolina. I just thought the Tennessee-South Carolina game, Tennessee had too much firepower to actually compete. Makes sense.
I agree.
All right, next on the list. Sorry, Ryan, but it is next on the list. You have the Oklahoma Sooners falling to the Texas Longhorns, 66-52. Jalen Hill led with 13 points for Oklahoma. And Andrew Jones, good old Andrew Jones, led for 22 for Texas. I watched the highlights of this game. I could only find one that was 3 minutes long. But from the highlight, I can see why there wasn't a highlight clip, Ryan. I do apologize. They blew y'all out from the tip. It was water. The Red River rivalry. Is it the same in football? They should play that. They should do everything like that. They should, if Oklahoma and Texas are playing, they should just go to wherever they play.
Alabama, Auburn's the Iron Bowl still. That's great.
I think it is the Iron Bowl. I would imagine.
Really?
Why would they change the name?
I don't know.
Maybe they, I don't know. I just feel that'd be lame. Iron Bowl.
Doesn't mean as much in the SEC, honest. And in the South, really. Like, they just don't care about
basketball.
Football is the
Now, if
thing.
you watch that Alabama crowd, I was shocked. Maybe they were sad
I was
about the
sad that dopamine left and they didn't get it, but we'll get to
yeah,
that.
no, yeah. Um,
Uh,
this was not a game at all.
no,
Texas
Texas
got a
just
good basketball team, man. Got a good
they
coach.
do, and so does Oklahoma. But Texas was definitely the
They
better
were just a
team in
hotter
this game.
team that night.
They just came out. They took a big lead. I think at one point it was. I mean, it was a huge lead. I mean, they got to a 20-point lead
I
and
think
they
it was
stayed
about
at.
20 points, yeah.
It wasn't a game. Texas
I
creamed
think
them.
Oklahoma made a little run to make it to 10 points late in the second, but I think Texas just about the 4-minute mark. I think it was about 10 points, and
Yeah.
it wasn't it. And but the job didn't get done.
Nope.
But there's Oklahoma, Texas. We'll keep them covered. We'll keep them coming. Anyway, I wouldn't worry about it. But Big 12, best conference in basketball, in my opinion, by
I
far.
agree.
I don't even think it's close. You could say, well, then what about the Big 10? Well, screw you, buddy. I think if you ranked them, I would say Big 12, SEC, Big 10, ACC. ACC sucks. They're not good. I tell you who is good, Duke. Not bad, but that's about it in the ACC. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but I don't think I am. North Carolina's not even ranked. We saw them live.
That's true. Good game.
Yeah, it was delightful. All right, next, the best game I thought from last night. You could say what you want about Texas Tech Baylor. I loved this highlight reel. I think I watched the longer version. I think it was about 12 to 14 minutes. I don't remember how long. It was worth every second of that watch. Oh my God. I mean, I wish I was watching it live. I really feel like I got FOMO from watching that thing. I was like, holy crap, that was a fantastic freaking basketball game. If you like basketball, last night, that Auburn Alabama game had everything you could ask for. It had dunks, threes, passing, rebounding, even a little bit of defense sometimes. I mean, it had everything. What a great basketball game it was. Auburn won 81-77. Jabari Smith, very good player for Auburn, had 25. And I didn't even write this down, but when I was watching the highlights, I got this Wendell Carter Jr., I believe his name is, for Auburn, had like 19, was draining threes from all over the court, dude. Had a great game. And then Jaden Shackelford, who I have heard of, had 14. But one thing I did want to note here about the Alabama team is when I go through the stats and I just write down whoever had the highest points. Jaden Shackelford had 14. I think the rest of the team, like there was like 6 players. One guy had 14, one guy had 10, one guy had 11, one guy had 13, one guy had 12. And I noticed a good like disparity there between like they were able to like spread on the ball around. So I really wanted to mention that. I mean, what a game that was.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the better games, especially from a fan perspective. Crowd was going crazy.
Yeah, that Alabama. I didn't think Alabama fans knew what basketball was. They had that stadium packed out. Their stadium is a dump, by the way. It's shocking how much money rolls through that stupid school. Every penny of it goes to the football team. They were like, F you to the other teams. It doesn't matter. We're not putting a dime into the stadium. Not a dime.
Yeah. But it was a very free-flowing game, very back and forth, kind of a lot of fast breaks, pretty much.
That's what it
was. But, I
was.
mean, Auburn's a very good team. I think they're ranked
four. Yeah, very
good. Loss, I remember right? That's
that's
good.
Correct.
Auburn's a team to look out for.
Yeah, I think so. They can make a deep run. I've always liked Bruce Pearl. I've been a big Bruce Pearl guy. I think he's kind of a scumbag. I mean, Tennessee, he just got caught by inviting players to a barbecue or something. Whatever. Everybody does that. Oh my God. What Bruce Pearl did to get fired at Tennessee is considered tame to what's in college football nowadays. I mean, you got Texas A&M offering people $1 million to go there. $1 million from a booster, some random ass offensive lineman who's never even going to get his name in the papers. But you're going to have this in the papers. Oh my God, I sound so old. You're never going to get his name on TV. That's better. But he's getting $1 million to go to Texas A&M and be in the transfer portal next year. Madness. What are you going to do? That transfer portal so riles me up. But yeah, there's your Alabama Auburn recap. What a fantastic basketball game this was. All right, another pretty decent little basketball game here. The Texas Tech Red Raiders versus the Baylor Bears. Some would say Baylor was the best team going in. They were undefeated, I believe.
Undefeated, yep.
62 to 60, 65 to 62, Texas Tech. Adonis Arms with 14. Another good overall scoring spreading around here with Texas Tech. If they score low like that, the whole team scored a lot. And you got Adam Flagler had 17 for Baylor. Ryan, your thoughts on the Texas Tech Baylor game?
It's pretty good. I mean, both teams are ranked. Texas Tech's been there, done that. I think they went to the national championship game at one point, lost. I think it was a couple years back though. But
Baylor
still,
went to it last year and won.
Fantastic game, and Baylor had the chance to win it. I mean, it was close, man. 65-62. Baylor had a chance to tie it at the very end, couldn't get it done. Texas Tech got the win. It was very close. Baylor had control for most of the game, and Texas Tech kind of came out of nowhere at the very end and won. But I mean, if you look at the Big 12, there's several teams you got to look out for the tournament.
Unbelievable, man. They might all make it.
They might. I mean, yeah. I mean, Iowa State, Kansas, Texas Tech, Baylor, Oklahoma, Texas. I mean, so many good teams. It's going to be fun.
Let me pull up the Big 12 right now. But, yeah, I think overall, I mean, you look at, and the whole conference, the Big 12 is dominant. Let me look at the standings real fast. Oh, my God. It hit the Big 12, not the Sun Belt. All right, you got Baylor, Texas Tech, West Virginia's good, Oklahoma, Iowa State's good, TCU's 10-2. Heck, I mean, there's only two teams here that couldn't make it. I would argue Oklahoma State and Kansas State are the only two that couldn't make it.
Yeah,
that's crazy though. Crazy. How good of a conference that is. In the SEC, obviously, there's teams who are bad, like Arkansas. They suck. But other than that, what are you gonna do? All right, there you go. Big 12. Here another Big 12er. The Iowa State Cyclones, who are ranked, versus the Kansas Jayhawks. Kansas won 62-61. Ooh. Isaiah Brockington had 17 for Iowa State, and oh my God, Ochai Agbaji Ochai Agbaji had 22 for Kansas. Ryan, go ahead with your Kansas.
This was a very good game, very back and forth. Both teams kept taking the lead from each other. Honestly, it was a fantastic game. One of the better games. I mean, obviously, you kind of look at the Alabama-Auburn. Auburn had control for most of that game. And even kind of same Baylor, Texas Tech. Like Baylor had control most of the game. Obviously, they lost, but this one was just so back and forth. Lead changes. It was a fun game to watch. Weird color scheme, but it was a fun game to watch. Weird.
It is kind of a weird color. A lot of weird things: blue, yellow, red for Kansas, and then what? Yellow and red.
Like weird versions of those colors. It's not like that's a nice blue, that's a nice red. Like they're weird. But anyway.
All right. Last but not least, I wanted to talk about Stanford USC. I totally forgot to watch the highlights to this game. But I pulled up the score real fast just to read what happened, because I know USC was undefeated. They're the number 5 team in the country and lost to Stanford 75-69. I didn't know this until just now when I read it, because I didn't know anything. Stanford actually had a 3-week vacation break. I don't call it vacation, but a 3-week break due to COVID. And I think that probably played a big impact. Into the game.
December 23rd was their last game.
Oh my God, 2 days before Christmas. That's crazy. Do you know anything about what happened in this game?
Yeah. Pardon me. So, I mean, coming into this game, USC was the favorite. I mean, Stanford hadn't played a game in who knows how long.
Maybe that benefited them, I reckon.
It may have, honestly. I mean, USC is undefeated. They're number 5 in the nation.
Right.
As first they were named 5 in basketball since 1977 or something like that.
Crazy.
I mean, Stanford just comes out and they just play ball. USC had the lead going into halftime. Sure. It was a 1-point lead going into halftime. A very close game at that point. I mean, it was close game throughout. But in the second half is when Stanford really started to pull away. Eventually Stanford won 75-69, as Trennon said, and much due in part to that second half push. If it wasn't for that second half push, Stanford wouldn't have won. But it's just crazy how much Stanford hates USC. They always seem to get the best out of the
Yeah,
Stanford
in
team.
football and basketball.
Yeah, it's crazy. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, good for Stanford.
Yep.
Shame on USC. USC always has kind of a sneaky good basketball program out there too.
They
It's kind
do.
of weird.
Yeah, UCLA as well. I mean, UCLA's got a very good basketball team.
Oh yeah, UCLA is very good, but USC is kind of the one I would always. It gets to take. They're a basketball school. What are you gonna do? Nah, what are you gonna do? All right, that kind of covers every good of the big games that I think were worth noting. We'll kind of finish up with some small basketball stuff. Um, like I said at the end of the segment, you'll have the college basketball segment. I'll interject with another video, and you can kind of see what's going on there. But that's kind of the end of that. We're going to talk about Mizzou, Arkansas, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Villanova, Xavier. So you're going to have that to look at. All right.
Yeah.
So look ahead for college basketball. So this is what's going to be discussed on Monday's episode. See, these are the games that I've selected, and we'll obviously edit it and adjust it as needed. But this is what I'm thinking of right now. We've got Arkansas. These are all on Saturday, by the way. These are only in games I found interesting on Saturday. All right, you got Arkansas LSU on ESPN 2 at 2 p.m. Tennessee versus Kentucky on ESPN at 1 p.m. Boston College versus Clemson on ESPN Plus at 6:30 p.m. Oklahoma TCU on ESPN at 4 p.m. and Florida South Carolina SEC Network at 1 p.m. So those are kind of our teams. Like I said, I will update and adjust that as needed. We'll add, subtract, multiply, divide, whatever you got to do there. But that's kind of what I'm looking at right now for the updated prepared look aheads for the games. So I'm going to take a second here. We're going to introduce me from the future into the segment to recap the Arkansas, Clemson, and Villanova games, and we'll be right back.
Sure.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I just wanted to come in here and interject, like I promised I would, about the multiple basketball games that were on Wednesday night. This might be something I try to do every Thursday, just to recap what's going on then. The rest of the stuff will be just on the normal episode, but I wanted to talk about this 3 games in particular. First being the Arkansas-Missouri game. I mean, what a slaughter that was. That was a delight to watch. It was much needed. It was much needed going in there from the SEC, struggling the way Arkansas has been. It was a complete slaughter of Missouri. I mean, they didn't stand a chance. I believe, at half, maybe they had 15 points or something like that. Ridiculously low amount of points. Arkansas was slaughtering them. And Arkansas scored more points in the first half than they did actually Missouri did in the entire game. So that was fun. So Arkansas could have stopped scoring and it just stopped and still had won the basketball game. That's something to think. JD Notae kind of led the team with 19 points. Steve Davis had 15. Jalen Williams had 13 and Wade had 17. So overall, it was a good night for the Hogs. Amude had 5, and it was overall, I thought, a good effort overall from the team, and Likes had 8 as well. So I think that's important to note. I got a little notes on the phone. I don't remember everybody's points or what they got. But I thought it was a good game. I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. It was much needed after the couple games that Arkansas had suffered through, in regards to the other, games that were like Vanderbilt and all the other ones. Next, Mississippi State. Next was Clemson. Got slaughtered. Go Tigers. I'm wearing my Clemson purple today to work. The Tigers got an absolute boat race. It wasn't close for the majority of the game. There wasn't much to be said. Clemson basketball is what it is. We all know what it is. They should be better. I've been calling for Brad Bennell to be gone for years. I guess Clemson does like that stability. It didn't happen last night, at least. They're still 10-6, not bad. Could rebound, in ACC play. PJ Hall had 14 points, and Hunter Tyson had 12. Those are kind of the big highlights of that game. Nothing much to be said there. The big game last night that I wanted everybody was kind of on, was Villanova versus Xavier. That was a really good game, obviously. Villanova won 64-60. And I'll break down the points real fast, and we'll get out of here. For Villanova, their leading scorer, Gillespie, what a name, 21 points. I believe this is Villanova. Yeah, this is Villanova. Oh, my God. Gillespie had 21. Moore had 19, and Dixon had 15. And for Xavier, Johnson had 15 and Scruggs had 15. Also, listen to these numbers for the Villanova starters. 18 minutes for Samuels, 35 for Dixon. Slater had 31, Moore had 33, Gillespie had 35, Daniels had 31, and Antoine had 14. The next person close to that is Longio, or however you say that, with 3. So a little struggle with the depth there. They got some solid starters, but that's about the run of it there. I just wanted to come in, interject. That's your little TNR interjection right there. I hope you have a good one. This is the TNR Sports Show. Now enjoy the rest of the podcast. All right. Way too early top 10. Top 25. Funny. All right. We're back. We're so back. We're so back. All right. Welcome to our college football portion of the segment. So if you're here for college football, this is the portion. This is what you have come for. This is your big punani. This is everything you've wanted. College football. So like I said previously, we're going to be recapping and kind of exploring the previous season and looking ahead, of course. You've got the final signing day coming up, which is kind of a big deal. And you got all kind of sort of shenanigans going to be going on. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. But instead of recapping, like I just said, we were going to do, what I'm intending to do is actually go with a look ahead for my way too early top 10. So I will go first and then Ryan will go next. I'm going to give my top 10. We can discuss it briefly. You give your top 10. They're pretty much identical, except I have like 1 or 2 teams that you don't have. But that's about it. All right. My way too early top 10. Here we go. Georgia at number 1. I think they deserve it because of the national championship. Ohio State. You want to discuss it after, or do you want to go like just discuss the teams that I've thrown in there? How you want to do this?
We'll discuss it after.
Okay. I got Ohio State, Bama, Texas A&M because they're cheaters. That's why they're there. Arkansas, Baylor, Wake Forest, Clemson, Michigan, Notre Dame. And that's my top 10. All right, Ryan, your thoughts?
On your top 10?
Yeah.
I mean,
I know you don't agree with the Wake Forest one.
I don't agree with the Wake Forest.
But I probably, in a perfect world, move everybody up, get rid of Forest, and put Utah in there at 10. If I had to do it all over again.
That's okay. Anyways, my way too early top 10. I think yours is very good overall. Just the Wake Forest is my only critique.
Yeah.
Mine is, I think Ohio State should be number 1 coming into this upcoming season. I just
think Georgia earned it. You got to dethrone the king. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but they're losing like their entire defense.
Yeah, I don't know about much.
This is a completely new season. You know, I think Ohio State should be the favorite to win the national championship next year. They are loaded. They have a great offense.
They've got the best wide receiver in the country. They've got the best wide receiver in the country by far.
Oh, by far, yeah. Ohio State number 1. Number 2, I give to Georgia. Number 3, I give to Bama. I think Bama will be better than Georgia next year. Personally.
I think Bryce Young's going to get better.
Yeah, I think that defense for Bama will get
maybe better. He'll win it twice, the Heisman.
I think CJ Stroud's going to win that sucker.
Oh yeah. Maybe.
4, I got Texas A&M. We'll see if they can earn that or not, but talent level, they should be 4. 5 is Michigan. 6.
Oh my God, the disrespect to Arkansas. Unbelievable.
7 is Clemson. 8 Utah. 9 Notre Dame, and 10
Baylor. Okay, so those are our top 10s. If you had to rank South Carolina and Oklahoma, where would you put them at randomly?
Randomly, I would say I'd say Oklahoma would be 11. I think they just missed out on the top 10. Yeah. I mean, I think Baylor's going to win the Big 12. I'll be honest. I really do. But when you look at the rest of the Big 10 and who they play, they're having down years. Oklahoma State's having a down year. Who knows what the crap Texas is doing? South Carolina, I think South Carolina deserves to have a pretty decently high ranking with the amount.
I was thinking like 21.
I was thinking like 15.
Oh my God, no way.
With how well they were coached and how well they played with so little this year, and how much talent they're bringing in via transfer this upcoming year, I think they should have a fairly high ranking. I'd say 15.
Yeah, I think they would be highly ranked. I wouldn't put Oklahoma at 11. I'm not that crazy. They lost way. You talk about Georgia losing a lot. Come on, man. Oklahoma lost a lot. You know, a lot. I
Yeah, but
put
at the same time,
Georgia.
they don't play an SEC schedule, so they're going to win.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of true. I don't know, man. Though they lost a lot. We'll see what happens with Oklahoma. I'm interested to watch and see how much of the Lane, Lincoln Riley effect they had. I'm excited to see kind of where that goes and how much of an impact he actually had on that team. I definitely think there's going to be talent left over. And Oklahoma has seemed to, as much as the transfer portal has spurned them, they have seemed taken somewhat advantage of it. So I think that benefits them in a way, in a certain way as well. All right, there you go. Our way too early top tens. How about that?
There you
How
go.
about that? All
How
right,
about
let's
it?
keep moving forward. What's left on the docket? I don't think there's anything left but our season grades. All right, here's how this is going to work. We've got our season grades. We give a brief explanation on why we have it. And that's kind of the run of it. And that'll be the end of it. How about that?
How about that?
All right, here we go. Starting off hot with those Arkansas Razorbacks, the Woo Pig Sueys, the Woo Pigs. I gave the Arkansas Razorbacks an A minus, and I gave them that because I thought it was by far their best season ever. Um, sometimes I think maybe I should give them A plus because I don't know how much more they can achieve other than that. They can always shoot for the stars. You never know, but I think overall, with the expectations being so incredibly low, and then you doing so incredibly much better than them, um, I gave them an A minus. I thought it was not the reason I gave them A minus, and I remember why now. That Auburn loss was bad. I think about that Auburn loss frequently. Out of all the games that happened this year that I had disgust in my mouth about, I would say Auburn was number one on that list. All right, Ryan, go ahead.
I'm giving them an A. And the reason I don't give them an A plus is because you're right. The
Auburn.
Auburn and somewhat the Ole Miss game. Obviously, they were in
Hey,
Vegas.
we can do. Yeah.
However, I mean, we're looking like at the beginning of the season, we were talking about Arkansas. We were saying, hey, maybe
Six,
they're 6, 7
7.
wins, get a bowl game, but they're
Mm-hmm.
not. We didn't expect 9 wins. One
I
of the
mean,
best
I'm the
teams.
biggest Arkansas guy in the world, and I didn't expect them to go 8, 9, and 4.
Exactly. So I give them an A because they blew out expectations and they
Yeah, I mean,
seemed
ended up being what the third. Is it too far to say the third best team in the SEC? Georgia,
so
Alabama,
far.
Arkansas. I mean, you can maybe say Georgia, um, Alabama,
Yeah.
Kentucky, Arkansas. But even then, I think if you put the two on the football field, I think Arkansas wins in Kentucky,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, probably. They're definitely up there deserving.
which is crazy to
Um,
think that Kentucky is the third best team. Ole Miss, I forgot about Ole Piss.
yeah, they kind of
Uh,
struggle at the end there. I don't know.
well, Matt Corral getting hurt in that bowl game
Yeah,
kind of
that's true.
toughed it out. All right, let's move on. Clemson, I gave them a B. And here's why I gave them a B. Most of you at home are probably like, oh my God, Clemson is too high. They should be a C. My reasoning behind a B was the comeback that had to happen whilst all the adversity. You had so many injuries, so many issues, so many problems, and it's not an A plus Clemson season. It's not. But you lost so many players, you lost so many coaches, and the fact that you still have your little 10-win streak going is a big deal. And I think it should be. I think Clemson should be given credit for that. Um, I thought overall I was super happy with the season. It's not a national championship. It's not an ACC championship. But on the flip of that, could have been a whole hell of a lot worse. That's why I'm giving Clemmy a B.
Yeah. I gave Clemson a C plus. If we're just going off their defense performance, it'd be an A plus. But with how much expectation we had on this offense, I mean, DJ was a freaking Heisman candidate at the beginning of the season. And then he ended the season with 9 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. That's horrible. it's just like if that offense was rolling, they win national championship. Like I'm
Agreed.
like that was the second best defense in the country. If they had a competent, good offense, they beat Georgia. They beat Alabama. Um, and so that's why I give them a C plus because they had the expectations to be up there and be in that consideration and have Heisman hopes and all this stuff, and just wasn't there.
Are we rating DJ you whatever his last name is season? That's what I would give him. I'd give him an F. All right.
Yeah.
Oklahoma. I gave Oklahoma C plus. I thought that was going to be make Ryan mad, but he went lower than I did. So C plus, Oklahoma. My explanation for that is while you still lost to Baylor and you lost to Oklahoma State, bad losses, I think the rebound in the bowl game kept them from giving me a C. Especially with all the and there was a load. You thought Clemson had some, Oklahoma had a load at that ending. So the fact that you come back, I know you're facing a bad Oregon team, but the fact that you came back, beat Oregon, did what you had to do, gave me a C plus. I like the ending for Oklahoma.
Yeah. So I give them a C minus. I mean, I kind of look at that Oregon game. It was you kind of look at like Oregon looked at that as a throwaway game. Like they were already kind of falling apart, and they just did not care about that game. Oklahoma cared and put effort. That's really the only reason they won.
I think that's why it's impressive because they actually gave a crap no matter what happened.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I kind of give it I give them a low grade because we came into the season and we were talking, saying, "Hey, this is the year for Georgia or Oklahoma to win the national championship. This is the year that
Oklahoma was a lot of people's picks. It was a lot of
yeah."
people's picks.
And obviously Georgia won it. Congrats to them. But Oklahoma failed to live up to expectations. You had a bad
Collapsed at
Kansas.
the end, yeah.
You won. I mean, you won. But a lot of underwhelming performances. West Virginia, Nebraska, Kansas. And then of course you lost to very good Baylor and Oklahoma State teams that deserve to win those games and be in the Big 12 championship game. But then you even look at it, you didn't even win the Big 12. So not only did you not win that championship, you didn't win your own conference when you were expected to win a national championship. C minus.
Not good. Yeah, not good. There you go. Oklahoma. All right. South Kakalaki. South Carolina Gamecocks. I gave them a B minus. And many people will say I'm being harsh. And I don't disagree completely. I think it's an equal and fair rating. And here's why. I think South Carolina, the South Carolina Gamecocks, are probably deserving of an A plus. But there are a lot of games this year that they got either A, lucky on, or B, they should have been a lot better. I thought the Vanderbilt game, no matter how bad it is, you should not be almost about to lose to Vanderbilt. I thought the Missouri game showed slights of weakness, considering how bad Missouri was. Then you look at the Florida game on the flip of that, and you're sitting there like, oh my God, Florida was such a massive win. Auburn, Arkansas didn't even beat Auburn. Obviously, Auburn was a different team at the time that we played them. They didn't have Peyton Manning as their quarterback like we did, like they did when they played them. But I digress. I think South Carolina, giving the expectations that did have multiple wins this year that were very good. But they also had a pretty decently easy schedule. Plus, I don't forget the Tennessee and the Vanderbilt win and a loss, and the Tennessee destroyer that they laid upon South Carolina, and a Tennessee team that was good, but it should not have blown them out. They have the same amount of talent. At least Tennessee had a quarterback, I guess. But other than that, that's kind of my opinion on the Gamecocks of South Kakalaki. And then not scoring any points against Clemson, a bad Clemson team. Come on, man.
It was a bad Clemson team, and they won 10 games. But
Oh,
what does that Arkansas coach say about winning?
Turn on the damn jukebox.
No. You mentioned something the last episode.
You talking about the the Las Vegas just win, baby?
Yeah, just win, baby.
Yeah, that's what South Carolina, that was their motto. That was from the Al Davis of the Raiders.
So I'm giving them an A plus.
Oh my God, Serine is sick to his stomach right now, y'all. He's suffering on the inside.
I give credit where credit's due. I think they deserve an A plus. We looked at the preseason. We said man, this team's probably going to be one of the worst teams in the country. And
they
they
went to
were
a
pretty
bowl.
bad.
And they won a bowl game.
Yeah, we were saying like 2-3 wins at best, and they won 7 games. They won a bowl game. I mean, sure, you look at the teams they beat, not good, but they won. They got to a bowl game. They had a good season with no quarterback. Zeb Nolan is not a good quarterback. He couldn't even succeed at North Dakota State. He was the worst quarterback at North Dakota State they've had in 20 years. That's horrible.
Yeah, it's bad.
So yeah, A plus.
All right, I agree. I'm changing my score from a B- to an A. I forgot the bowl game when I was given that score. They slaughtered them in the bowl game. I forgot the score. I'm going to an A. All right. This should be, we'll run through the majority of this list. We did our team, so we'll go quick here to make sure this doesn't go too terribly long. All right, Georgia. I gave them an A+. They won the national championship. Ryan, what do you think?
They won the national championship, A+.
All right, there you go. Alabama. I gave them an A. They had a Heisman winner, and they beat Georgia in the SEC championship. And they don't get credit because they lost the national championship, but they also beat a pretty decent little Cincinnati team that hadn't lost all year. A.
I give it A- just because they didn't win the national championship. That's their main goal as an Alabama team, is to win national championships. They didn't do it.
Their only goal. Other than, if you don't know, if you ask Nicky Saban, he was flouting that SEC championship in those post-game press conferences. He was like, these guys won an SEC championship game. You cannot take that away from them. I was like, that's true, but you did lose. Also, go watch those Alabama press conferences if you want to see kids tortured. I've never watched I don't know if I've ever watched a losing team's national championship press conference. Oh my God, it was terrible. It was miserable to watch because they were like, Bryce, why did you fail so miserably? And Bryce Young was like, man, I'm 18 years old. A lot of pressure on me. I'm like, God dang. I was like, oh, whoa. I didn't say it. I was close though. I was like, man, that poor guy, he's really going through it. I felt bad for him. I was like, this is awful. They were like, Bryce, why were you marching down the field and throwing an interception and it cost you the game? Why did you do that, Bryce? Huh, Bryce? What's your problem? But that's kind of what was going on there. All right. Old Piss. I gave them an A. I thought overall, well, it was the first 10-win season in school history. Arkansas may be a bum program, but we're not that much of a bum. Season. A regular season. And we might be a bum program, but we're not that much of a, we had 11-win seasons. They suck. Old Piss. Congratulations to Matt Corral, Lane Kiffin, and the Ole Miss Rebels, you racist individual university. Ryan, what do you think?
I say B+. They had a lot of promise at the very beginning, but they kind of fell apart at the end. And largely due to Matt Corral getting injured and just not being 100%. And of course, the bowl game, whatever happened to him. B+.
All right, there you go. All right, sorry. All right, Texas A&M. I gave them a C. Ryan, you give them a B. That's incredibly high. They were terrible. They lost 4 games. They had a ton of expectations. And you go and beat Alabama, make something worth out of it. Their one champion thing, their national championship was played in October when they beat Alabama.
Yeah, so I look at Texas A&M, and I don't think there was a whole lot. I mean, once Haynes King, their starting quarterback, went down with injury, I think you kind of have to be like, I don't know what's going to happen here. And then their backup comes in, has a bad couple games, but
their backup's still like a 4 or 5 star now. Let's not get it twisted over here.
Yeah, but he wasn't playing well. And then you come in, you beat Bama, which was huge.
Congrats.
And they have a pretty decent rest of the season.
I don't know, man. That loss to LSU is not good. That loss to LSU is bad.
Yeah.
Who else did they lose to? They lost to Arkansas and LSU. Who else did they lose to?
Mississippi State.
Oh yeah, Mississippi State at home. That was bad. And who was the other one?
Bad.
Who was the other one?
See, LSU, Alabama, Arkansas.
No, they beat Alabama.
Like I said, 4 losses.
Auburn. They didn't lose to Alabama. Did they lose?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
They beat Auburn.
Did they?
Yeah. I don't know who else they lost to. I'm trying to think. They beat South Carolina, right? Who was the other SEC East team they played? Was it Georgia? I don't think it was. Was it Kentucky?
Give me 1 second.
Did they lose to Kentucky? Oh my God, that'd be deadly.
They might have, honestly.
Oh, Ryan, you would have to knock them down. And they dropped out of a bowl game. What did I give Texas A&M? I gave them a C. They deserve a C minus. They're
Ole
worthless.
Miss.
Ole
Ole
Miss.
Miss.
That makes sense. Yeah. Ole Miss. All right, there you go. A&M. What a scumbag university. Colt. All right, Texas. Speaking of Texas, speaking of losers, me and Ryan both gave an F for obvious reasons. I will give the obvious reason. Kansas. Um, you shouldn't lose to Kansas. They're a bad university and a bad school with a bad football team. So bad. Texas.
Yeah, and 4-8, which is Texas's final record. I think that was the worst Texas season in like 50 years or something like that.
Wow. They used to, Texas people used to be like, we won't play Arkansas. They suck. They had a game a couple years ago that was canceled because we were bad. And now tables have turned. We won't play them because they're bad.
Yep.
Alabama, they have to play Alabama next year, too. That's cold.
That's going to be fun.
Quinn Ewers, kombucha versus Bryce Young. All right, next, Michigan. I gave them an A+. And here's why. I gave Michigan an A+ based off of the fact that if you look at the overall total of work, not beating Ohio State and finally making the playoff and winning the Big Ten championship, I give them the notch over. I give them an A+. I don't hand off A+ rarely, but I think overall here was worth it because of the fact you've done. I mean, Jim Harbaugh did everything he set out to do. His expectations were this, I guess. And I know you got blowed out by Georgia. Well, let me tell you something. 12 teams before Alabama got blew out by Georgia. So, it's not that big of a deal. Really. That's just kind of, in my opinion on Mich.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was going to say A, but I'm changing it to A+ because they weren't expected to be anywhere near what they were. They weren't expected to win the Big
Their
Ten.
quarterback kind of sucked. Cade McNamara is kind of bad.
He's kind of bad.
He's like a step above Stetson Bennett.
I would have loved to see them beat or at least get near Georgia and not be blown out by them. But it was Georgia. Georgia was the best team this year. So
year long.
A+.
All right. The Ohio State University. I gave them a B. Ryan gave them a C-. My thoughts upon it were I like the Rose Bowl victory over Utah. It would have been so easy and so big teamish for them to go to the Rose Bowl game against a Utah team that was definitely wanted to be there. And Ohio State to sit at being there. I don't want to be here. I should be in the playoff. I shouldn't have lost to Michigan. And they didn't do that. And they won the football game. And I was impressed by that. I really was. I think that's why in the end I gave them a B. I was impressed. I know their expectations. I know Ohio State fans are probably at home like, what? No, C-, we suck. But I was impressed with that win over Utah. Ryan?
Yep, I'm giving them a C-.
Oh my God!
Oklahoma a C-. They came into the season national champion contenders with a Heisman hopeful, and to be fair, C.J. Stroud deserved to be in the Heisman contention. And honestly, I think he probably deserved to be runner-up. I don't think he was. He was fantastic. However, I mean, you lose to
Oregon. That Oregon's losses. I mean, Oregon was different in the beginning than they were at the end. That much.
And then you lose to your biggest rival in Michigan. That's a blow. And then you don't win the Big Ten. So for me, kind of similar to Oklahoma. Obviously, I think Oklahoma had a worse season. But yeah, C-.
All right, there you go. All right, Arizona State. On this podcast, we are big Herm fans. Only in the offseason, though. During the season, we don't give a damn. But in the offseason, I'm a big fan. I gave Arizona State a C-. They suck. Ryan, did you agree?
I gave it's just a C. I mean, they just had a very meh season. They kind of lost games.
They had a lot of expectations this year, man, and they really didn't meet them at all. They could have, if they were even halfway more decent, they would have won the whole thing. Not the whole, you know what I mean? Pac-12 South. Yeah. No, I think Utah was good, but I don't think there was a lot of competition other than Utah, maybe UCLA for a minute there, but not even that long. Yeah. All right, Wake Forest. I gave them an A-. You could really say anything here. I mean, my God. Has Wake Forest ever won more than 5 games? It's shocking to see Sam Hartman. Huh?
They won the ACC in 07 or 06.
I don't know. They suck. Wake Forest has been bad for a long time, and they weren't this year. Good for them. I gave them an A-. Ryan, quick.
Yep, fantastic. Performance from Wake Forest. I mean, unexpected. I gave them an A.
All right, there you go. Pittsburgh, Kenny Pickett, A.
A. Heisman hopeful, won the ACC's out of left field. A.
I mean, how much it doesn't get? I mean, it doesn't get much better
You're
than
not
that.
you're not going to be much better at Pitt.
No, no.
That's the ceiling for you.
Utah. I'm going. Me and Ryan both put A plus. I switched I had A originally. I switched it into A plus. It doesn't get in the same light of Pittsburgh. It doesn't going to get much better than that of Utah. That's about it's about as high as it
Yeah,
goes.
yeah. You
You
win
win
the
the
Pac-12, which
Pac-12.
is
You go to the Rose
huge.
Bowl. I mean, you
Yeah,
lost,
and
but
you also beat Ohio State. You played them until your quarterback got hurt, and
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, what are you gonna do? All right, Utah, Cincinnati. I gave them an A plus. We're doing a lot of ceilings here. Here's another one for you. You did every single thing you were supposed to do if you were Cincinnati, and they won't get a lot of credit for it. But that win at Notre Dame was very good, and I think at the end of the day, proving that you belonged and not embarrassing yourself as bad as Michigan embarrassed themselves to the game later. I mean, people say that Alabama Cincinnati game was a blowout. I don't really consider it one. It was close until the very end, like kind of close, kind of, you
yeah,
know. They hung in there. They did what they needed to do. They made the case for the Power Five, where there was none before. You know.
yeah. I gave it an A minus just because all these Power Five teams, especially a Cincinnati and a UCF, you talk this big game on how
Not Power Five. What is it? I said Power Five too. What is it?
a
Group
group
of
of five.
five. That's right.
We deserve being in the playoff. We could beat all these teams, and then they just don't. That's why I give it an A minus.
Oh my
Falcons,
God, this was the only one that was in there. This is the only one that's ever been in a playoff. That's a tough analogy.
I knocked you down.
That
I mean,
year that Cincinnati claimed to win the national championship, they beat a pretty decent Auburn team in the Chick-fil-A Bowl.
you mean UCF?
Yeah, them.
Yeah, if you played Bama that year, you would have lost. So
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess that is true. I guess I do see what you're saying. If you can't play with the Clemsons, the Ohio States, the Alabamas, the Georgias. All right, Oklahoma State. I gave them an A minus, and I'll tell you why. Oklahoma State did what they needed to do until they got to the championship, Big 12 championship, where they failed. I thought overall in that game they played terrible. And if you're going to have your little storied season as you should have, you were a game away from probably making the playoff. One game.
definitely the playoff.
I think they would have made it over Cincinnati. I really do believe that. What are you going to do? You had your opportunity there to make the playoff, and you choked it. You choked the championship game in a way, and you choked the Big 12 championship and the playoff. So that's my opinion. A minus. Still good season. You beat Oklahoma. You never do that.
I gave them an A. Obviously, they lost the Big 12 title game, but I mean, they weren't even expected to be there. Everyone expected Oklahoma to run away with the Big 12 like they have the past few years. Just because they got there and had such a great performance overall and they beat Oklahoma, I give them an A.
All right, there you go. All right, last but not least, we got the Baylor Bears. I gave them an A plus. Me and Ryan both did. I'm switching it A plus. I don't know why I didn't give them an A plus. And it doesn't get much better than that for them Baylor Bears. I mean, that's about as good as it gets. Did everything that opposite of Oklahoma State. You won the Big 12 championship. You exceeded expectations. I guess they did too, but you beat Oklahoma at home. You did what you needed.
Yeah, one of the worst teams in the Big 12 last year. Turned it around, won the Big 12. You beat Oklahoma, you beat Oklahoma State.
Duality of man.
Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
A plus.
How about that? All right. There's your grades. How about that? So that's just the first little college portion of the TNR Sports Show. How about that?
How about that?
How about it? All right. Is that it? We're done, right?
That's it. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for watching the TNR Sports Show. We'll be back on Monday with another episode. So tune in for that. Thank you all for watching, liking, commenting, subscribing. Follow our Instagram. We post a lot of content on there. So follow that. It's good stuff. All right. God bless. Have a good night. I will see you all on Monday morning. Monday.
Yeah, Monday.